guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is my reaction video about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's go. So, obviously the first team I'm going to talk about is Red Bull. They are completely dominant. Perez had no competition during the race. Maybe Alonso kinda made it difficult for him for just a bit, but just enough to give us a bit of a show, just enough to care about the lead for a few minutes. Other than that, Perez was in front the entire time. There was no reason to really care about that during the rest of the race. Even Verstappen couldn't catch him, but he was too far back. Perez had the advantage of a clear road ahead, so he could build up enough gap. So when Verstappen came behind him, he was safe. Other than that, Red Bull's dominance is proven by Verstappen's pace. His charge through the field was effortless. He was able to make it to the second place without any drama. So yeah, I think we're gonna watch lots of boring races this season, and we're really gonna care about who is gonna come out in P3, even though it's probably gonna be Alonso. You really have to congratulate Andrea Newey and the whole Red Bull department. The aerodynamics department did a great job last year, and they were able to really evolve their design, and no one was able to really outperform them. Even Ferrari, the team that last year was quite equal in performance during the first part of the season, right now nowhere near. Okay, let's move on to Aston Martin. This team is really trying to establish themselves as the second fastest, and they really do it. They are really up there. Alonso was effortlessly on the podium. He was really not under serious threat from George Russell behind. And I think that Lance Stroll, had he not retired, he would have finished easily fifth, maybe even fight for fourth. Because, Russell had a bit of a gap, but you never know what will happen during the race. And yeah, I think that there were no serious threats from Alonso apart from the penalties he got eventually. But in terms of pure performance, Aston Martin second best in Saudi Arabia, such as in Bahrain. This team made a serious jump in terms of performance during the winter, and it's proven that it's here to stay. They are here to stay, and I think it's really interesting because they've part from Mercedes. They tried to copy Red Bull. I feel like that their side pods look like Ferraris. So, they combined all the top three big teams and they made a car that can challenge them. And, it's interesting. It's really nice to see a team from the midfield to make it on top and, fight for podiums and maybe even wins in the future. It's going to be interesting to see it. I'm here for it. Okay, so let's move on to Ferrari. Ferrari, well, it's kind of disappointing right now, isn't it? Well, Carlos should have pushed more in the beginning. I mean, he got overtaken by Lance Stroll. The man was under surgery, about a month ago, and he was able to overtake Sainz around the outside, Not even a corner where you usually overtake in Saudi Arabia, so yeah, that's hats off to Stroll, but Sainz really has to make a bigger step in terms of performance. Ferrari isn't the fastest car, but he has to push more too, During the first stint, Leclerc was pretty fast. He was able to perform many overtakes. He was actually faster than Carlos, and he was able to extend his stint even further than Carlos, even though he was on softer tire, which actually is interesting. Tells a lot about the track too, but hats off to Leclerc too. And then, safety car came out, everyone were on hards, and the hards killed Ferrari's chances for even the podium or anything more than what they had, They were nowhere near in Mercedes' pace, not even talk about Aston Martin's. And yeah, they were the fourth fastest quite clearly since the moment they were on the hards, So yeah, the Hearts hunt Ferrari ever since Hungary 2022, and it will always be a problem. Apparently, the team has to find a way to maybe change the design a bit to treat tires better, because it's not just the reliability. Apparently, we have other issues too, and I say we because I'm a Ferrari fan. I've said that many times, and if you're here for some time, you know that. So yeah, I have nothing to say, but you know, I'm disappointed for Ferrari. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Mercedes. Well, they did get a podium. It wasn't truly deserved in terms of performance. I'm not saying that the penalty was unfair. I mean, rules are rules. Fernando didn't serve the penalty correctly. He got a penalty. One more. That's how things are done. But yeah, they got a podium out of this race. I think they should be happy with that, considering where they were in their last race and where they were yesterday. Even Hamilton seems a bit lost again. He really doesn't like this track. I mean, remember what happened last year? He didn't make it through Q1. He stayed there. So I think that Mercedes has a lot of work to do. Mercedes might end up just fighting Ferrari for the third place, and Aston Martin will become clearly the second fastest, which is kind of sad for me as a Ferrari fan, because I don't care really about Mercedes. And I can't feel sympathetic about this team. They won 7 titles in a row. So yeah, alright, And they're just really acting like it's the end of the world with this letter to the fans apologizing about the performance and stuff. I mean, come on, it's like, what should Ferrari do? I mean, as a Ferrari fan, I received no letter from Ferrari, despite they haven't won the title since 2008. And I'm talking about constructors before you judge me in the comments. And yeah, I mean, what should McLaren fans say? They're even worse than the Ferrari fans. Yeah, this letter was just pointless, kind of funny. Now let's talk about McLaren. It seems like they have completely failed in 2023. They might end up being the worst team in the whole grid. And it's interesting considering Piastri was really fighting to drive this team and avoid Alpine. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, it wasn't his fault. When Alpine announced him, he had already signed a contract with McLaren, and when he signed the contract with McLaren, it was looking like Alpine wouldn't give him a seat. So can you really blame Piastri? In this case, no, you can't. He really could drive for Alpine, which is the 5th fastest, and he ended up driving for McLaren and this team. I mean, McLaren went on the radio to say to Lando not to make it too hard to Oscar, but it didn't really matter. I mean, they were racing with Logan for P15th or something. I mean, you don't want your cars to crash. It's more money, but still, just let them race or don't let them race. Doesn't really matter. They were nowhere near to scoring points again. I mean, in Bahrain at least they finished higher up, I think. I don't remember for sure. Let's move to Alpine. They really established themselves as the 5th fastest. They are the top of the midfield, and I think that was their goal, but they were really not planning on Aston Martin being so fast. No one was, really. So, yeah, I mean, they were a bit disappointing watching some comments that even though they are at the top of the midfield, Aston Martin outperformed them. Yeah, I guess they can achieve their goals in terms of beating the entire pack of the midfield. Ocon was 8th, which is best of the rest in that race. And Gasly was 9th. And, considering that, as Gasly said, he's still struggling with the car, he has to, get to know it better. He did pretty well. He was quite fast, close to Ocon. And, there was a point where they almost fought for position, but, didn't end up happening something. But I really was expecting, some drama there. And I think that when Gasly really feels more comfortable with his car, he will push more, and we might even see these two drivers crashing into each other. Some drama for Netflix is always good. It's always good. We all love it. We don't say we love it, but we all do. So, let's talk about Williams. I really was disappointed watching Albon retiring. I really love their progress and the improvement of this team. They really built a good car for the midfield. Sargent ended up being in front of both McLarens. And Albon could push for something more. And yeah, it's nice to have this team, slowly making it up to the top. Don't know where will they end up, but it's not rock bottom anymore for them. How can I not talk about Haas scoring their first point, second race? I mean, it's not the fifth place finish that Magnussen had last year in Bahrain, but first points of the season. It's good considering the race pace was really bad in Bahrain. They were able to fight with AlphaTauri and score a point, which is, good progress. I mean, you have to start from somewhere, and considering that even Ferrari is not top of the big teams, you couldn't expect Haas to be, top of the midfield or something like that. But yeah, they can improve from where they are right now. Again, it's not rock bottom from them anymore. So yeah, that's good news if you think where they were in 2021. And the last thing I want to talk about is Yuki's scream when K-Mag got him. I think it's fair to say that every single one of us watching the race fell asleep, and this scream from Yuki woke us up. And if you deny that, you're lying. This race was boring, especially after the safety car. Up until the safety car, there was some action, there was some overtaking, but after the safety car, it was boring. And that's one more thing I want to talk about. We are on for some boring races. It's gonna be interesting to watch which races Perez will win, because Max will not let him. He is way too fast. But something like what happened in the quality of Saudi might happen again, and Max will start at the back, and Checo will be able to win more races. The real question is this: will Red Bull need to use team orders again? And if they do, how will Checo react? Because I don't think he is, but Checo, in his mind, he's fighting for the title, so he is going to push and push and push. I don't think he will make it, but it's gonna be interesting to watch some of the interviews as the season will unravel, because I think he won't feel very nice when he will see that Max is way too fast, and Red Bull really will make the car better and will really mainly listen to what Max has to say and not really what Checo wants. So this is gonna make things interesting. Maybe he will say something on the press. He will imply that maybe the team doesn't listen to him. So it's gonna be interesting how will that go out. But I'm sure he doesn't want to leave Red Bull. It's the fastest car. You don't want to leave. You just want to do the best you can with what you have. So that was my reaction to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed my video. I want you to like, subscribe, share the video. That would be nice. And you can comment below what do you think of the race. See you in the next video.